live on YouTube.
All right. Hey, everybody. This is Jason. I own Premium Sportway, 520 tires. With me on my left is Albert, and to my right is Eddie. And there's been a lot of talk about our tires, availability, and pricing. So we're here for about the next hour to answer whatever questions you guys have.
So, right now, we don't have any viewers yet, so I want you guys to just go in and start talking about what's going on with the tire, all that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
Great. Yeah, I'll start. My name is Albert Top Dog Contreras, and I came around with Premium Sportway right around 14 years ago when I wrote an article in one of the low-wire type magazines. Jason and I became pretty good friends along the way, and they made something that is almost on a daily basis and definitely on the weekends. They reinitiated the charge for the Premium Sportway 520, which happened a little decade ago. And now with many use, including what everybody has heard, it is now a radio tire. Still has the same appearance as the OG 520. You can't go wrong with it. I've been driving on that tire for about a year now, along with Eddie, and I have 110% positive opinions about the tire. Not just because I know Jason, but because I actually drive my car on the weekends, and I would never go back to a biased tire. The only way to go is the Premium Sportway 520 radio. Eddie, what do you think about the tire?
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Eddie. You guys know me as Mr. 520 on Instagram. And Jason, thank you for inviting me out here. As all you guys know, we've been waiting on this tire, and I've been advocating the tire. So definitely, I believe in the tire, and I'm glad to be a part of this right now. And itself, I know I got the weird white wall, but it drives like a dream. And the 520, it's still built. It's 520 built, but obviously it's a radio, so versus the bias ply, and it's just phenomenal. Once it's on the market, I strongly believe in it. It's going to take over, and this is something that's together. Since production about 2017, I think, right, Jason? Yeah. And then obviously we're keeping everything reasonable and pricing, and just the ride itself. When you guys were fortunate to be testing about a year now, and perfectly with all the information we give back, we perfected obviously the tire. We'll get into that, and yeah.
So let me give you guys a little bit of history about how this all started. I got in having findings on my own personal, and all of it was the Coker tires, which were at the time. So after having run those for quite, I learned about the original Premium Sportway 520s that were about 1958 by Armstrong Tire Company at the Natchez. Along the short of it is, as time moves forward, technologies and fly tires are going by the wayside. Armstrong tires sold out, then became Fidelity, and then finally closed. And so it was really difficult to continue the original bias ply 520s. So they shut down production in the late 80s, I believe, and the molds stood. My partner, and behind it, Jonah Erickson, who is the guy on the East Coast that you talked to. We got together over, I think, a couple of text messages on layitlow.com back in the day. Those that know.
Oh, yes.
Right? And thus began our partnership. And we've been going at it strong since about 2009, 2010. And we decided that we were going to remake the original 520. And thus set about just a chain of events that had each one of these happened independently without the other, it never would have happened. But long and the short of it is we ended up making new molds. We found the original mold, but they were too far worn to be of any use to us. So we made the tire, and we made it as a bias ply, 8-ply construction. But again, as times move on, we had decided that really the radio revolution was here, and we needed to move with that. There are some negatives with a bias ply tire. You've got flat spotting, delamination. There's a lot of things, hard rides, swerves on grooved pavement. So we decided the radial was there. And we've been working on that steadily for probably the last 6 years. We got our first run of sample tires, I think it was about a year ago, right? Yeah, about a year ago. Here's which are sitting next to me, because this time around we make absolutely sure that these were perfect. Last tires that we made, we all know, had some problems, but that's not really the problem with our tire specifically. It's a physics thing with size, weight of the car, width of the rim, etc. But we want to make sure that we had real world testing. So there's 4 of us out there that have been testing them for over a year. We haven't had a single problem or issue with it. So to sort of answer some questions that I know are going to happen in a little bit regarding price. So right now we're at $194. That includes shipping. As I'm sure you all well know, there's some problems in the Mideast. That shouldn't affect anybody that's already pre-ordered one of their containers. Those prices are locked in. Any subsequent containers, we're not really sure what the price is going to be. We're sort of taking it month by month. Availability. The order has been placed. The factory has taken a deposit. So the tires are in production. Because we're dealing with Thailand, sometimes there's some communication issues. There's a little bit of a cultural barrier, but we've been told that we should be expecting delivery approximately mid to the end of July. So that means that they'll arrive at my warehouse mid-July, end of July.
Hold that mic a little closer to you.
Got it. So from there is, I'm going to have to actually physically buff the white walls. We're one of the first tire companies that dictated to our manufacturer how these tires must look. And to the best of my knowledge, we're the only tire company that requested a radial tire be made to look like a bias ply tire. And when we show you the tires that we have here,
Jason, why don't we go ahead and show everybody what the tire looks like?
would you be so kind as to go get some tires?
Definitely. Let me go ahead and get those tires so you guys can check them out.
Awesome.
We
So-
have a couple of questions too that have come up.
Oh, awesome. Well, hey, let's get to those.
So first is, when will the first shipment of tires go to the customers?
So we should be expecting the shipment to arrive at our warehouse mid to end of July. From there, it's going to require fine tuning on mine, because one of the problems that we encountered was the factory's lack of desire to do the finishing white wall. Without getting into the minutia of it all tires, including white walls or anything with a raised white lettering, has a very thin layer of black rubber on the outside of the sidewall. From there, if it's a white wall or raised white lettering, the white rubber is put in place, then the carcass of the tire is built. So if you can see on this tire right here, get this out of the way a little bit. If you can see right here, here's our white wall. It's narrower than it's going to be when it's completed. This is approximately 7/16, and if you can feel it, it's raised. It is above, it's like a curb guard. It's raised above the sidewall. The true OGs really want a white wall to be carved into the sidewall of the tire by about 1.5 millimeters. So the work that I must do is take this white wall and carve it about 1.5 millimeters into the sidewall of the tire to the correct width. The benefits to that is that I can make any width white wall that you want. If you want simply 7/16, we can do that. We can go all the way up to about 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches. So we'll come from about the first rib here, your wheel mounts there, will be about 1 inch, 7/8, and then we can have the white wall go from that layer of black all the way up to just the curb guard. So to answer your question, as far as when you receive it, it depends on how long it takes me to buff all these tires. I have designed, built, and fabricated a specific machine to do that. I have all the proper grinding wheels. So I feel that once we move into production, we should be able to bang out 50 to 100 tires a day, and we'll go from there. So the first people that ordered will be the first people to receive tires.
What do you think about the comparison, though? I like it, but in your opinion, do you think you got it very close to the OG 520s that we saw back in the 70s, maybe early 80s?
Absolutely we did. So there are some intrinsic differences between a bias ply and a radial tire. But if you look, comparatively speaking, at the tread design, they are virtually identical. There's no difference, a few subtle things, but nothing that you're really ever going to be aware of. The first difference that's going to be apparent to the people that really appreciate the old tire are what we call the pie crust. They're these little diamonds that separate the shoulder of the tire from the tread of the tire. There are about 8-10 more tire than the original. And the reason is because a bias ply tire mold is two-piece. It's a clamshell. You've got the front and you've got the back, and that's notable by the seam that runs along the circumference of the tire. Radial tires are segmented or faceted. So you have one here, one here, one here, and so on and so forth, that do both the front, the tread, and the back. So we didn't want any of these pie crusts to line up on one of those seams. Other than that, we're going to move on to what's called the FMVSS, which is the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards. Tires are a lot different now than they were in the 50s. We are a very litigious society. So as a result, there's some language on the tire that we have to, by law, have. One of the things that you'll notice right off the bat is it says 520R 14LT. 520, of course, we know what that is. 14, of course, we know what that is as well. LT stands for light truck. And the R stands for radial, which we have to have. There's no way around that. Beyond that, we have the ply rating and a little bit more language on the side. But beyond that, these tires are virtually identical to the original tire from, say, 50 years ago. And that was done by design. The biggest issue, of course, is that these are radial and those are bias ply. What that means to you, the consumer, the guy that's driving it, is no more you can have flat spots where you fire up your car after it's been sitting a couple weeks and you get that whomp, whomp, whomp until they generate enough heat in the carcass to round out. The other thing is that they're much more stable at a highway speed, significantly better in the rain for those that actually drive their cars in the rain, and a much more stable feel. But I want to turn it loose to Eddie and let us know what his experience was driving them, because honestly, I actually haven't driven on them yet, because all the tires that I had, I gave to people to give me their fair view on it. So fire away.
Now, before we get to that, now, what is the PSI on that?
69 PSI is the max PSI on the tire.
So that's the max, and I believe I ran mine differently at 50, 50, 60. I had no issue. I live in Oceanside, so there's a lot of train tracks, and I share this with you guys already. But you get a lot of like when you're driving. And it's a lot smoother. And I'm on the freeway. I'm driving. I don't know. I drive up to maybe I was 65 on my 55 Bel Air, and choose. I mean, there's no swerving. I honestly consider a car, which is has regular tires, because I never really driven on any other type of tire. But as my name states, Mr. 520. But it's very comparable to obviously our daily driver. That's not a lowrider, regular tires on it, but it's phenomenal. There's no issues. It's a beautiful dog. The 520 obviously look and measurement, but it's still built to radial, which is phenomenal. I'm still amazed. I can't say that a lot of you guys that see me or seen the car. I had it at the San Diego lowrider show, and a lot of guys came out and looked at it, and you guys seen it. I brought out my car randomly. I'm trying not to show it too much until the tires come out. But there's nothing really negative I could say about the tire. I mean, it's just phenomenal. It's just,
Pull your mic back in.
Yeah, same here. We had the opportunity to have a friend visit me, George Lasas from the Gente Car Club in Imperial Valley. And I said, let's go for a ride on my car. I have a 75 Bragg House. And we went out driving. He goes, hey, you change your tires? You no longer have 520s? They're radials? I said, no, they're not radials. I'm sorry, they're not radial tires. They're 520 radial tires. He said, I never heard of such a tire. He was amazed. I tell you what, we drove the car for about 50 miles. And he said, I've never been in a car, in a lowrider that has driven that smooth. And he was impressed. So that was an unbiased remark from George. And I'm glad I took somebody who isn't associated or knows Jason like I do, or Eddie like I do. He really liked it. He said, I want them now. I said, you can't have them now. They're only testers, but they'll be here shortly. Now the time has come. The tires will be here. We're hoping in about a month and a half to no more than 2 months. God forbid that anything happened in the Middle East that may hold it a little bit longer. But we're anticipating them being here, like Jason said, right between the middle of July and the end of July. I can tell you right now, without a doubt, that when you guys buy this tire and put it in your car, you will never go back to a bias 520 again, ever. There is nothing more supreme than having a Premium Sportway, an OG Premium Sportway, with that same look, but in a smooth riding radial tire. I will never go back to another one. Besides my rack house, I have a 58 Impala. I just got to sit, and they're going to be going in my Impala, only because there's nothing smoother than this tire. You guys are going to love it, just like I did.
So the question, what product do you recommend walls?
That's a great question. In the past, the blue protectant to cover the white wall was almost impossible to remove. We resorted to acetone ultimately to get it off. This stuff is water soluble, open water. That's all you need.
And they're good scrub brush.
And good scrub brush, but it's not as bad as the other one. It's like an hour tire. These will come right off.
And Mr. Miguel asks, how many miles have you put on your tires? I'm assuming it's for the two of you guys.
Eddie?
I would say approximately over, 13.
I've got about, and that's on the rack house, not on the V8. And I still love it. The tires hold up very well. I don't have no flat spots whatsoever. Flat spots that occur on bias tires, you're not going to get in with the bias tire, with a radial tire. It's a smooth riding tire, and there's nothing like it. I can't say enough good things about it. You guys are going to love it.
How are they wearing? Are you getting an even wear on both sides, on the shoulder and on the inside as well?
Awesome question. Bias 520s that I had on my vehicle, I would notice whenever I would drive after the tire became unflattened, there would be some pull on it, especially when I would hit a bump, it'd want to pull to one side. That's completely gone. I can let go of my steering wheel and it goes straight down the road, and they're wearing good. They're no longer wearing either on the inside or on the outside like the bias tires are wearing.
How about yours?
Yeah, and to add to mine, I have a 1-inch tuck on my seat. The tires sit this way,
right? And
then on another brand that I have, they would wear out, and these I haven't seen any wear on that yet. I think time will tell, but a normal brand I had, it was pretty much within about receipt. It's just it's different. It's solid. I'm amazed,
Typically with extended A-arms, though, you are getting excessive wear because obviously you're putting more weight on that outside bit. But that's good to hear because both yours is juiced.
The 75 right now is juiced. With 6 batteries. Yes.
Okay, it is.
And it rides fine.
It is okay, great. So then you guys, that's awesome. With all that weight in the back, so you've got 6 batteries in the back.
6 batteries.
And you?
I have 5 batteries. Hydraulics. No airbags, sorry.
Okay, perfect. Okay, are above 1,200 pounds per tire. So that's help because your average Impala, 3,800 pounds, 6 batteries at 80 pounds each, some hydraulics, a couple of guys. So you're going to be up there, which is I think one of the problems that we had with the originals that we had made. We were simply overloading them, and as we all know, heat is the #1 destroyer of tires. You start to get, especially in a bias ply, when you start to get those cords really hot, especially because they're crossing at about a 30-degree angle around the top, and you start to pull them out, you're starting to really, really stretch those cords. And that's why we're seeing a lot more failures on the bias plies, because again, it's designed for a 4-inch wheel. We're stretching it almost double that, and we're running twice the air pressure in it. The nice thing about a radial is that you've got your steel belts up here. And so it has a lot more give, which is why we can run a higher PSI.
Like Jason mentioned, it is a light truck tire. And when I got the tire, I put 35 pounds of air in there, and it looked low to me. After talking to him, the tire looked like it was flat. And he asked how many pounds of air pressure I was running in the tires. I told him 35, almost 60 pounds was normal for a regular tire, but it's a light truck tire. So I went ahead and put in 50 pounds just to be on the safe side, allowing for heat to expand it and have 60 pounds. And I got to tell you that my ride was even smoother. Before it felt like it was low, almost like a flat tire. But man, what a big difference with almost 60 pounds of PSI in the tire. That tire is perfection in my opinion.
We have a question, statement question. So no brown wall issues are expected.
Oh, that's a pretty loaded statement.
Oh, yes.
So I wish we could say that our white walls aren't going to brown, but the reason that a white wall or any raised white letter tire browns is because of the oil and the pitch and the carbon that comprises black rubber. It evaporates, it has to go somewhere. The VOCs evaporate into the atmosphere, but it leaves the solids, which is the carbon, the pitch, and so forth. It leaves that behind, and that's the browning that you see. There are very few ways to completely eliminate that. The only way to keep your white walls white is just clean them regularly.
And then next question from Mr. Miguel. So how many sets of tires have y'all tested, and have y'all tested any 13s with the 1-inch white wall?
Well,
I don't think the white wall makes a difference. It's a tire, just the white wall is just cut thicker, right?
yeah, the white wall doesn't really have anything to do with the tire or any of its structural capabilities. Rather, the white walls, and I'll be the first to say that our prototype white, just to get them out there, they're not perfect, but we wanted to get white wall will be far greater. One tester that's running 13s right now, and he's got well over 1,000 over 100 miles each way from where he worked. We can post some of his. He's got a couple of. He's got a video when he first took it out, and several other subsequent ones. We can post that up on any one of our media, our social pages. But there's four testers, and they've each reported, immense success, and all the responses and all the replies that I've gotten have all been favorable. I haven't gotten a single negative comment from at least my testers. There's been some people out there that have looked at some of the sample tires and mentioned things about the white wall, but right now what we were focusing on is making sure that the tire was roadworthy and didn't have any internal defects that we weren't aware of.
On another note, just so there isn't any mass confusion, the only 520 tire, radial 520 tire that's being built is being built by Premium Sportway. No other manufacturer has a 520 radial tire. And I've heard this several times, and I've been asked hundreds of times that no, it's not the tire that's being sold currently by another party or another company. This is the only 520 radial tire that you will ever find as of right now. No one else is making them. And there have been a couple of comments from people. I think even Eddie had mentioned not too long ago, saying that these tires are available right now. They are not available to the public as of right now or within the past year. There were only 4 testers, just like Jason said, and we were the ones that were lucky enough to be chosen. He could have picked anybody else, but he picked us, and I appreciate that, Jason. We got good people that tried them, good people that still have them on the cars, and good people that just love them. And we all made a couple of points as to what we would change or what we like about the tire or what could look a little bit different. But I have to tell you that this is the only radial 520 tire currently available. If someone tells you that they have them or they've had them for a year or they've ordered them, they just got them, it's not true. It's not. They're going to be available for everybody. We're hoping by July. So stand by for something that's going to be top notch for the lowrider community. And that's why Jason and Jonah, the makers of these tires, decided to make it for everybody. And they wanted a good, reliable tire. And this is it. You're not going to find anything better.
As many of you know, this is a really long-term project, not only since the inception back in, say, 2010, but even beginning in 2019 is when we really had made the push to go to radials. Of course, then COVID hit. And so pretty much everything came to a screeching halt. And then the byproduct of that was a long line of companies that needed tires made because it was a shortage of tires. So we sort of had to get in line because we're a really small tire company compared to all the other companies that are out there. So we sort of had to wait patiently in line, as well as find a factory that was willing to do what we wanted to do. And we finally found one. They're well known and their product is impeccable.
All right. We have, when will a second order become available? I missed out on the first one.
Also a good question. We are talking with them about beginning a second production run. As far as today, we don't know when that will start, nor when we will get it, but talks are in the way with ordering a second container here within the next couple of weeks.
And the next question is, what are the white wall size options?
Standard options are your typical 1 inch and 1 inch for the wide and 1/2 inch for the skinny. Later down the road, once we've got all of our pre-orders filled and we've settled into a routine, if you DM us, we can custom make whatever width you want. We can do dual pinstripes. We can do colored white walls. There's a lot of ways we can go. So if you want like a two-tone with yellow and white, or blue and white, or red and white, we can do that. We can do split white walls. So get with me after the first of the year, and we'll have some more ideas on that. And so we can custom make you whatever size you want.
So let me add to that. So a lot of them know the size by the skinny would be comparable to ice, correct? Almost
1/2 inch.
Okay, 1/2 inch, and then the wide quarter approximately. And that's at 55. And just to clarify, obviously my preference would be the skinny wide wall. And there's a lot of comment there on the pages, which is fine. Obviously, that's why we do it. It's gonna be offered like instead in both. And obviously, I didn't get to test the skinny wall. It's the same as my white wall later, but my preference is skinny white wall.
Why not team up with a big tire manufacturer?
First, this idea, there's really no need for us to team up with a tire manufacturer. Secondly, a lot of the companies, the larger manufacturers, focused solely off of margin, and that's not who we are. We're doing this because we're doing it, and it's teaming up with somebody else. We then buy some of their policies, which we don't want. We don't want to be constrained by another company. We want to make it fit. If we want a 3-inch white wall, we're going to make it. We don't want to be bound by somebody else's ideas. This was our idea. This is our design, and we're going to do it our way.
And then let me add to that. I think whoever will team up manufacturer doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad. I've had experience with other manufacturers. They've lost quality, and it doesn't make a difference now. Well, going for a small independent company like Premium Sportway, that's the original bikes, obviously measured and built by them, and seeing with them, I mean, there's no heat. Because I've seen the difference. It's kind of working for kind of like a family bit or corporate. It's better, like that. Like you go to that genuine koozie that's home cooked or homemade. It's better than when you go to a franchise that's there. You see the different quality. I just wanted to share.
Thank you. And the other thing, when you call the West Coast number, I'm the guy that answers the phone every single time, or every single tire passes through my hands, every single one of them. And now that I'm going to be buffing them, every tire is going to be buffed by myself. So when if you were to call a large tire manufacturer, you're not going to get the owner of the company. You're going to get some dude that answers the phone. You call our lines, you're going to get Jonah or you're going to get me. More often me, because I'm the one that is sort of hands-on as far as distribution, so on and so forth. So I feel like, a lot to Eddie's point, there's a certain level of intimacy that you have with somebody when they're the dude that makes the tires. Like if you have any kind of problems or you want to ask a question, regardless of what it is, I'm the guy that's going to have the answers. Normally, if you go to a larger company, it's like you're put on hold or that person's out in the department or you got to leave a message. So, my name's on these tires in effect. And so I want to hear from all of my customers, and it'll always be that way. No matter how big we get, my number is always going to be plastered on the website. You can call me whenever you want. I may or may not be able to answer the phone, but if I'm awake and that phone's in my hand and I see a Premium Sportway number, I always answer it.
Are you able to zoom in on the tire just to show the thread?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to do it, Jason?
Okay. I'm old, so I'll take the old one.
We're gonna try to have the camera zoom in on the tire so you can see exactly what we see here in the studio.
Yep.
So there's a tire, and there's the thread.
And there's a tread, and you can see that really they're virtually identical. Obviously, this tire has been stacked for a long time, so it appears much more narrow because of the design and the construction of our tire. It's always going to stay like this. It will not compress to this width.
Yeah, this is just like the old tires that were sold back in the 70s, and that's what Jason and Jonah tried to do, and I think they accomplished. They wanted to make it look old school, but they wanted a new school ride, and I think they got it. They got it without any issues whatsoever. At least Eddie and I and Trino from Central California.
From Santa Barbara,
Yeah.
Shout out to Tino Herrera. He couldn't be here, but
Very happy with the tires. I wish you guys could have a set in your cars so you can see exactly what we're talking about.
you guys will soon. Like we are. As a matter of fact, we just moved to a much larger, more modern warehouse that has all of the facilities that I need. We've got state-of-the-art tire grinding machine that I built. We have a dust collection system. We've got everything we need and a much, much larger warehouse. So things are definitely looking positive.
Miguel says the white wall looks small.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. So we addressed that earlier, and this is what the factory gave us just to show us that there are no blems in the white wall. Because when the white rubber is added to a tire, it's one long strip. It gets put in, and there's going to be a seam. And so this was to ensure that there's going to be no gap between the both sides of the white rubber. Once they determined that, they sprayed it with that blue coating and they sent it up to us. This white wall will be deeper and it will be the same width as the originals. Again, as I said before, down the road, once we settled into production, we can make that white wall as wide as you want, from about 7/16 all the way to well past 1.25 inches.
Maybe I can clarify that question. You may have a concern about the white wall. This is how the factory is actually making the tire. And this is why when they arrive here, Jason is taking the time with each tire to cut them to make them exactly what the 520 used to look like back in the day from the 70s. Because this white wall protrudes, we wanted to make it look just like the original tire that was back in the 70s and back in the 80s. So it will be cut, it will be indented, just like the original 520s were, and it's going to be wider than what you actually see here. But all that will have to be done to each individual tire. Jason works pretty fast, so I'm pretty sure he'll be able to do
fast enough.
He'll be able to do about 100 a day, almost.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Next question is: do the tires have a warranty?
There's the question.
Good question.
We're waiting for that one. Yes, absolutely, they're going to have a warranty. In the past, we had a very, very forgiving warranty, and we were taken advantage of a number of times. We would get tires that were being warranted for blemishes, and yet the sidewall was down to the court because they'd been three-wheeling it. We're not 100% sure as of today how that warranty is going to look, but it's going to be commensurate with most tire company warranties that you see. There'll be a prorate in case something happens and the tread's worn down. We haven't figured that out quite yet, but it'll be generous. Certainly probably more generous than what you get now, but not as generous as it was in the past. For those of you that had some of the last run of our bias ply tires that failed, we are warranting those tires. And so if you haven't done so already, give Jonah a call and you're on a separate list. So even the tires from 8 years ago that failed 8 years ago, we're going to warranty those.
So the next question is: can you run tubes in these tires?
No. There's no real reason to.
Yeah, there's no reason. Yeah. As long as your wheels aren't leaking, there shouldn't be any reason.
Right.
And then the next one is: will your tires be sold through big chain companies like Summit or Jags, etc.?
I don't think so. And the reason is, I want to keep it small, man. I want profits to go to my man Eddie here. Like, he and I have a great relationship. Albert and I have a great relationship. There's a number of other guys out there that have been dealers of ours in the past. So no, I don't think we want to go with distributors. I think we want to keep it kind of small and
Or personalized, I think.
yeah, I think that's good.
There's too much margin. Okay. There hasn't been any other questions yet. So.
We just talk.
All right, so one just came in. I have a set that got bubbles Are they covered under the warranty?
They should be. We need to trace back who the original purchaser was. If you were the original purchaser, then likely yes. But if you're not the original purchaser, likely we won't be able to warranty them because we don't know, were they used. We can't really substantiate everything. So again, get with Jonah. If you're not already on the list, give him a call, tell him what's going on, maybe send some pictures, and it's very likely that in some way, shape, or form we'll take care of you. Yeah, so getting back to where you're going to be able to buy these. You can obviously come to our warehouse in Santa Maria and buy them directly if you want. But we're not going to sell them any cheaper to you than Eddie would sell them to. Now, once you buy them, if you want to mark them up for thousands of dollars, that's your prerogative. I can't tell you how much to sell stuff. I do know that I will not undercut any of my dealers, period, full stop. That's just kind of shady, and that's not what we're going to do. So even if you drive all the way to Santa Maria, you're going to pay what you would pay if you bought them from Eddie. Our prices right now do include shipping. So there really isn't any reason to come and buy a set from our warehouse. If you're going to buy 10 sets, well, then obviously we can work with you a little bit on that. But our pricing structure has everything very, very tightly calculated. And to start subtracting for not shipping versus shipping, it's just difficult because it's going to be just me up there. We do have a warehouse manager. My good friend Ty is going to be running the show up there. Shout out to him. But really, for at least the first year, I've got to be hands-on. Because I've got another business 70 miles to the south, I will not be at the warehouse every single day. So it takes time out of my schedule to meet with people. But then again, if you've got a really large order, we can discuss it. We can also discuss delivery. With the last set of tires, I put them in that big trailer, and I met everybody at the Denny's, I think about every 50 miles all the way down I-5 until I got down to San Diego. So, and we may still be able to do something like that too. But as far as delivery and pickup, we encourage you to buy from our dealers because we want everybody to make money. But if you want to buy them from us, you are certainly more than welcome to do that. And you can, of course, buy them online.
So someone's making a comment about it would be nice if they could be manufactured in the U.S. Maybe you want to touch on why.
Oh man, you're right. I mean that's really, really huge, and it goes far deeper than just the economics of it. Manufacturing tires is super toxic. I mean, it's bad news bears, right? And so, especially in California, the EPA really, really frowns on tire manufacturing. You can move over to the east. I know that Hoosier and Cooper were doing it in Ohio. There's some companies in South Carolina, but it really boils down to what we're allowed to do. And I don't know that we could just start manufacturing tires in Santa Barbara, where I live. I think they frown pretty highly on that. So we really have to go where the labor is available, where it's financially viable, because I would rather have a tire made in Taiwan than no tire at all. It's important that they are not made in China. I'm not throwing shade on China, but Taiwan has been historically a big supplier of the world's natural rubber and really is a big economic hub when it comes to manufacturing tires. So we did do our due diligence and look for companies in the country that would make them, and they wouldn't even talk to us. So you got to go where people are willing to make them, and unfortunately, that's what we've got to do.
And Carlos is asking, when can we buy them from the warehouse?
We brought that up earlier, but we don't have a line of queue, so we'll just go ahead and answer that again. I can say this.
Coming.
Oh, it always goes. More than once. Always happens, right? We're anticipating arrival of tires to our warehouse mid to end of July. Again, that's just what the factory is telling us. They've taken a deposit, which means they are committed to us. We are contractually. We don't see any issue. All of a sudden, deciding to not do it. Having said all that, we are dealing with an overseas company, and so I don't think they quite understand how important this is to us. But even with the previous factory, we never had any problems with delivery. That out of the way, we're anticipating mid-July to end of July, and then I have to take the first load of tires, which is 1,800, and cut in the white walls. So maybe the first day I'll do 20 as I start to get in the swing of things, and by the end of the first week, I should be flinging these out, hopefully 100 a day. Safe to say, within 30 days of us accepting shipment. It's going to likely be on a first come, first serve. So those that got the first orders in, if you get the first set of tires, obviously the last ones will be the last ones to get tires. But I'm hoping 3 to do all 1,800 tires.
Jesse, you bring up some great points. You were talking about the tire ship for about $194
Yes.
approximately. When you see these tires that are 20, 30 years old, maybe even older, on the internet right now going for $2,500, almost $3,000. I was looking at that yesterday, and people are paying this kind of money for a biased tire that is pretty old, probably way beyond their lifespan. When you're able to buy a brand new Radio 520 for less than a couple of $100. I mean,
you bring up a really good point. You know, I think we are probably the only industry that would be willing to roll on tires this old. Because this tire is such a perfect specimen, I didn't want to clean it to find out when it was made, but the late 80s is pretty much the last of the Premium Sportway original tires were manufactured, which, you know, we're now hitting, you know, a 40-year-old tire. NHTSA, the National Highway Transportation and Safety Administration, which you probably know, you know very well, right? After 7 years, they suggest replacing a tire. By 10 years, it's done. Don't roll on it under any circumstances. So I can only tell the guys out there that have tires that are beyond 10 years, even our original ones, don't roll on them. Not only can we not warranty them, but they could be a potential safety risk.
I got a shout out from Big Wit. Says, thanks for taking the time to explain all of this to us.
You know what, man? Honestly, thank you guys. Like, I'm doing this because I love it. And all of you guys have been so supportive and so patient with all of this and the constant, hey, man, some of you guys have been talking to me for like 8 years. You're like family. I've never seen you before, but I recognize the voice of the name. Hey, when are we going to get tires? Next month. I've been doing that for years, man. And it's finally here. And I want to thank all of you for like literally all of your support, like, and your trust in us, man. It's hard to shell out hard-earned money on something that you don't have, and I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you very much.
So 55 Classics says, I've been promoting them on my videos. In a July release date, should I say pre-orders only?
That's a good point. We knew that the rush to buy tires was going to be huge. Like, we just knew that, but even I was shocked when Jonah said, hey man, we're sold out. I'm like, it's been a little over a day. I mean, we went from nothing to 1,800 tires sold. So yes, some clarification is in order. The only tires that are going to be available on this run are all the pre-orders. As I said, there's a second container. We have not opened up pre-orders on that one yet. What we'll do this time is we'll give everybody fair warning by several days, if not day, on this date, we're going to take orders for the second container, because before I knew what hit me, the first container sold.
And this way everybody gets a shot at getting a set of the new Premium Sportway Radio 520s. Unfortunately, when the tires went up for sale on Friday, I think it was, I don't think anyone anticipated by 7 o'clock the next morning, Saturday, they were all sold out. And some of the guys that slept on this, so they really wanted the tires, weren't able to get them.
Yeah, and I apologize because, I mean, you know, Jonah really is the brains behind all this. I mean, he worked, I think, 24 hours straight processing every email, processing every payment. And honestly, he was so busy, and it was so late at night, because I think we went live at like 7 o'clock at night, right? And so, you know, he was up all night. I obviously went to bed, and I had no idea. I had no time to get in touch with people and say, hey, look, you better order them. So, again, big shout out to Jonah for really being the dude in the trenches that made all the pre-ordering happening. So, you know, having said all that, again, we'll give fair warning on when the next one is going to be available.
You've already touched on this, but Ricky is asking, do you foresee price changes based on the fluctuation of tariffs?
Oh man, that's something that we've been discussing a lot, and we don't have an answer. Those tariffs they've gone up, they've gone down. They were, I think, the Fed declared them illegal, and then they were imposed again. We really can't keep up with what's going on politically, but it's really not so much the tariffs that we're going to be afraid of now. It's going to be the rising cost in petroleum products, because obviously, as you all well know, big problems in Iran, big problems in the Middle East. We know what's down the road, so we can't begin to quote a price. Do I expect the cost of the tires to go up? Yes, no. But this is just a guess on my end based on what I've seen, and because both Joan and I, we keep track of this almost on a daily basis. And right now things are looking okay, but there will definitely be a price increase on the next container.
So the next question is, so I'm just checking in. When can the pre-order for this, or when can you pre-order for this run? I know you've already said it.
Yeah, no, but
like 12 times.
you want to, no, go ahead. Or, hey, you haven't said much. Go for it. You know what's up.
Yes. So on this, obviously it is sold out. If you guys contact me, I'm working with Premium Sportway. I'm part of the team, and that way there's no confusion. I know there's sometimes people are just redirecting them, and I went through my emails, and it's a stapler. If you can see my finger, and I'm going through, just like Jonah was going. We're going one by one, and I verify that as well with Jonah when I was speaking to him. Jonah and I are going to the pre-orders on the emails. We're doing it via email. So and then he obviously made a dent, but that verify that, Jay. But I for those everybody for that kind of pre-order before, and then there's an old list of people in there, because I've had that where they're like, hey, I'm on, and I haven't got called. They didn't call me. You guys are going
to like, so my job description really is like West Coast distribution. So until we went live with the pre-orders, I was just kind of sitting around
surprised,
sort of not really doing much while he was doing all the work. That workload has all of a sudden flipped.
Yes.
And now it's all on a little bit of a breather, but always check with Joe and I as far as lists, pre-orders, warranties, etc. Because I don't really handle that. I handle it when those two big doors open. There's a 40-foot container, and that's where my work starts. So, if you have any questions on even on PTAs, give Joe a holler. Like, I really hate to throw more work on him after he's already spent so much time, but I just truly don't have the answers on that. We had to divide up our workload to shoulder most of it until this day came, and then now that container arrives, it's on me.
So that's what we're doing. We're going from anyone in my pre-order list. I kind of left it just vaguely. Started maybe a year and a half ago. My actual official one back to 2017. So we're going back, and anyone's first come. We're going through them. A lot of people are opting out. Sometimes some you can't get hold of. But if you guys need them, I just contact me. You guys, obviously, but you guys got it at Mr. 520 PS on Instagram. I have TikTok under the same name, and then I have Facebook. But I'm here, obviously, supporting this tire. And we want it, and it's just you got to be a little patient. And then when the pre-order does, let's say, open up, there's a process, and I'll just go briefly over that. So obviously you give your information about the amount of tires you need, and then it's a pre-sale. So I think we need to clarify as well. There was a and then there was a pre-sale open, and pre-sale means you have to pay for them, and that way your information. And you guys really need them. I mean, I can see how I can accommodate. people that are opted out. But that's what I'm going to be a pre-sale if you want to secure all the other 1,800 people paid. So that's just to clarify. There's no holds if you really need them, and then we're going to work really really good on trying to make it a little bit smoother process on the next run.
Yeah,
So.
could have said it.
Yeah, that goes for me too. Some of the people that contacted me regarding the tire, I have you on the list. So as soon as the tires come in, as long as we have it done, you'll be getting your tires. No one will be left behind.
These are my two new social media directors, so I'm just going to defer all those questions to them.
No other questions have come in.
Great. And I think you've answered the quite well. So I think
Yeah, what else are we talking about? I mean, like, the reality is that this right here is the original lowrider tire. There's no question about it. This is now the continuation series of the original 520. Premium Sportway was around since the mid-50s. It was patented. I actually have the original hand-drawn drawings. An interesting little bit of trivia here is that when we remade this back in, what was it, 2010 or what have you, the guy that drew the original 520s was just out of engineering school. He drew the original drawings. He redrew these. Wow. And he was in retirement. He was in his 70s, like, I will do it. So it's kind of really cool that the man that originally penned the drawings for these, long before CAD was around, was the same guy that made the CAD drawings for these.
That's awesome.
That was really kind of cool. I only just learned that maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It's really, really cool. But I have, if anybody really wants to know the minutia of it and be super, super bored or maybe be put to sleep, give me a call sometime. And I will, if I've got the time, I will literally go through every step from when this one was conceived to when the Gen 1 Premium Sportways were done to the radial Premium Sportways. And it's a really long and interesting story. I mean, it could be a reality show, man. We had some guys out there that were actively trying to stop us, claiming ownership, and through some due diligence on our part, we determined that they in fact did not own the name. And I'm not going to mention any names, but it went pretty deep. There was a lot of times when we didn't think it was going to happen the first time, and even the second go round, which is why we sort of silent on social media, weren't really promoting it a lot because we weren't really sure what was going to happen.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with going to your car show in your beautiful car on 13s. 155 was the 80R 13s. But there's nothing like rolling into a car show with your nice ride on 520 Premium Sportways. Radio, a smooth ride. You can roll to the car show whether it's 10 miles or 100 miles away, rolling in with those tires. It's just a jet setter, you might say, like, that guy has a nice car and great tires.
And to your point, most of the heavy hitting car shows, I know the LRM shows, you got extra points for having Premium Sportways. You didn't have extra points for running other tires. Oh, you got Premium Sportway? Oh yeah, here's an extra couple points. I remember I judged a couple shows, and that was one of the criteria. Like, they got 520s, well, then they get an extra point or two.
So then you can actually drive your car, and it'll be comfortable with a radio.
Yes.
520. Unlike the bouncing that we used to have with the Vice, which some people still have. Now you will be able to drive and enjoy driving your car, I think, a lot more.
Right. And I want to take a minute really quick to actually thank Coker, because really the truth of it was they started it back in the early 2000s, and without them there wouldn't have been a 520. And so when people call me up and they start making comments about Coker, I've got to stop them, because we had the same failures. We're putting a small tire on a big car, and there are competitors, but there's room in this industry for everybody, and there's no reason to speaking ill of another company. And I'm personally, for one, I knew the vice president of sales for Denman, who made the Premium Sports from Coker. I learned a lot from him, and I just want to let you guys know, don't hate on Coker. They were here when nobody else was, and we are a really small and niche culture within the automotive industry. And Goodyear didn't rise to the occasion. Dunlop didn't. Who did? Coker did. And, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, there's no reason to bash anybody. Another company that makes the 520 tire, because like Jason said, when the other company took their time to make this tire and make it available for riders, that's awesome. But now you have a choice. You have a choice with a bias tire or a radial tire. And that is ultimately up to you, the customer. But I think if you go with the radial tire, you'll never go back to a bias, my opinion.
I agree. So we did it.
Any questions?
A comment from Short Dog from Houston. You guys, since the Layleys, when y'all
Right
when
on.
y'all were first,
That's good. Oh my God.
you're first trying to acquire the original molds. Big shout out to you guys for making.
Oh man. Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
so hold on. What was your name on Laylo, Jason? What was your name?
Dude, the hell was it, man? Do you remember?
Premium Sportway, Mr.
No,
Sportway?
dude, I think it was Racer Boy because I used to be a professional motorcycle racer.
You're that guy that I hated, always getting on my nerves on Laylo.
Was that? I probably was that dude, but yeah, man. Like we actually know where the original molds are. We found them. There are, I believe, 7 of them. You had a couple 560-14s, some 520-13s, and like 2 520-14s. But and we tried to purchase them, but the owner of those, who owns a tire, wasn't willing to. It's not because he didn't want us to have them, but because I didn't offer him enough money for some janky used molds, considering that new molds are upwards of $16,000 each, and I think I offered him $1,000. Wow! But they were pretty screwed up. I mean, like they were like the if you read like the clarity of like Premium Sportway and all the numbers, it was they were pretty bad. But yeah, man. Again, thanks. I appreciate your support, man. All you dudes that have been supporting us since the beginning, like. I just got nothing but immense thanks. And sort of while we're at it, there's gonna be a whole new line of merch coming out. Right now we're focusing on the tire, getting production done, getting people the tires that they pay for, and then once I've got some breathing room, we're gonna start making football jerseys, tank tops, hats, etc., just like we were in the past.
Carlos asked, so these are not Cokers?
Correct. These are not Coker tires. These are the true Premium Sportways. These are the original lowrider tires from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, just to clarify, the other company makes Premium Sport. That is not a Premium Sportway tire. There's Premium Sport made by another company, and there's Premium Sportway. Jason's company and Jonah's is Premium Sportway. That's the name that the tires had back in the 70s that people would roll around on. And Jason was able to get the patent on the tire.
So yeah, I mean, through luck and luck, we were able to swoop up the trademark, actually, not the patent. So the name is trademarked, the font, the actual way the letters are made is trademarked, and the tread design.
Yeah, that is Premium Sportway. The other company has another name.
It's Premium Sport.
Premium Sport.
Right.
Yeah, there's a difference, not the same company.
Correct.
Just avoid confusion.
And then definitely need the history of the resurrection of the Premium Sportway.
Oh
boy, that's
go back to and I think I can say this in a magazine.
Yeah, okay, absolutely.
I wrote a story in Lowrider magazine when I was taking pictures and writing stories in the magazine.
I think you did for Lowrider Scene.
Lowrider Scene, yes. I also wrote for Lowrider and a couple of other publications. But Lowrider Scene, I wrote a story about 2012 maybe, 2013.
Yeah, man.
And everything is listed there at what Jonah and Jason had to go through in order to revive this tire and bring it up to what you see now. The story was condensed, I think, to 2 or 3 pages, but the story was actually about 5 pages long. There wasn't enough room in the magazine, but I think you will get the glitch of the story of how Jason and Jonah started it by reading that article.
I see either a book, a coffee table book, or because we just because I'm so technologically with it, we just started a YouTube channel like 20 minutes ago. I can build cars, I can build run a tire company, but don't ask me to even find my own password. Or it might be maybe on the let's do a podcast where like we just recite the whole history of it. That'd be really cool. You guys, you trip out to know not only like how it started, what it was intended for, but the reason it failed. How many companies actually had the name ever so briefly before we stumbled on it, and here now.
If I get a chance when I get home by tomorrow, you can go on Top Dog Photography on YouTube or on Instagram, and I'll put a picture of the actual story that I wrote. That way, if you guys have any interest on how it started, you can read it there. It might be 2 or 3 pages, but it'll be Top Dog Photography there on Instagram, or I'll try to place it on YouTube so everybody can see it on there and you can read the story. It's really interesting. There was a lot of hoops that they had to jump through in order to get this tire and get it to the people that want it now.
Yeah, there was surprisingly and there still is a lot of hate.
There's some people that
and
are against it.
And yeah, I got love for you guys too, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, we're kind of the idea of this whole podcast and maybe future ones, or maybe something kind of semi-regular, is to like let you guys know, man, like we're just here to sell tires. Like we're not saying that we're any better than anybody else. Like I love cars. I've got a whole other YouTube and social life based on some pretty cool cars that I built. Like this is just a natural progression for what I want to do. Like I don't want to hate on anybody else. And if you guys got some questions, or maybe you had some of our tires that you felt did you wrong, man, call me up, man. Let's everything's a conversation.
All of us are very approachable. We're not going to turn everybody away or tell you something that is less than truthful. We'll be very honest, even if it's negative. We want you to know the truth about the tire, about us, or what we think about the tire. Just write to us.
Yeah, I mean, full transparency. Like, there's obviously some proprietary things in terms of like the structure of the tire that I can't divulge, but pretty much anything that pertains to you guys, like just let me know. I'll be glad to answer as much as I can, as much as I know.
Carlos asks, so what were they originally intended for?
So a lot of people think that they were originally intended for Volkswagens, and that's not true because there is no 52015, like at least a Premium Sportway. So they were popular in the 70s for a lot of like the original Honda CDCCs had 13s. Morgan, the British cars like that. So they were never intended for VWs. People think, oh, well, they were Volkswagen tires. Well, there wasn't a Premium Sportway 15. So, and VWs were 15s. God, I think there were 16s in there. I don't think they started making 14s until like the 60s. Same thing with the Bel Airs. I think 57 was the first year of the 14. I think the 50, 60 we all were 15s. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I don't know that exactly. But yeah, it was, they were intended for any car in that time period that had 13s and 14s. And then, it's just like trying to buy a Nokia today. Bias tires started falling by the wayside, and radios became more predominant. And soon in the 80s, the worth making the tire, because you obviously have to put the new molds in the machines. You got to get making a different tire. And when you pull the profitable tires off the assembly line, things, productivity stops, profitability stops, and up until us, really the number one reason people make tires is profit. I mean, that's why we do anything, right? We want to make money. We don't want to pay to do it. But so that's why, again, sort of circling back around to finding a company that was willing to do it, and we were very fortunate we did. But it took a little coercion to get them to do it, and they went to like the 9/10. They wouldn't buff the rest of the white wall for us, and we offered them more money. We pleaded, and they're like, "You get what you get." Like, so take it. Right? Okay, yeah, we will. So I had to, as I said before, I had to design, build, and fabricate a specific machine to do that, and so far it works.
And we just wanted the tires to be right.
Yeah.
And as close as to what the 70s 520s look like. We didn't want to deviate too much from it. Obviously, things had to change because it's a radio, but we wanted to keep it very close. And I think when you get your first set of the Premium Sportway 520 radio, you're going to see that it looks almost identical to the old tire.
Two blues, and what happens is after every tire is made, it gets to this. That's what those are for. So they really can't do that with a bias plate, because sometimes they have a tendency to flat spot if they're just sitting. But with a radial tire, you need to know that it's round. And they measure the width of the lines that are all consistent. They know that the tire's round. Obviously, if it was sort of elliptical, you get a much fatter line here, and then on the other side it'd be thin. So like we really went to great extents to make sure that this tire is the best that we know how to do, and the best that we can tell the manufacturer how to do it. And so, just so you know, we are the manufacturer. We don't own the factory, but we are the manufacturer on record. So it's not like we're buying this from somebody else and like sticking our name on it. Like, we actually contracted with the factory to make this tire, though we don't own the factory. They cannot make this tire without us. Like, we have an agreement with them that they can't just start selling these things on the side. That every single tire has to be sold to us, and every tire that you get comes through my hands.
So we're at an hour and 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Right on.
So
Well,
I think
I think that's it.
Yeah.
There's no other questions that have come up. So
Perfect. Any
if you guys want
parting
to close
comments
out.
from my comrades?
Well, let me see here. Just like I've stated before, I believe that you are going to love this tire. Once it's here and you get your tires and you put them on your car, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I don't think there's any comparison to the bias tire. Mind you, that is an option. That is your choice. But you will see that the smooth ride that you have on your lowrider is going to be the best ride that you've ever had, ever.
And there's the look. I mean, this
And it has
this
a
is
70s.
the original lowrider tire. Like, there's no discussion about that. So if you want the best ride and, in my opinion, the best look, this is your tire. Having said that, I may regret this later, but I want to give everybody my number. So if you have any more questions, or if I didn't address anything, please call me. And it's area code 775-574-TIRE, which is 8473.
Call him. I call him at midnight or 1 in the morning,
Yeah.
and he still answers for me. Still answers.
Jesus.
So call him.
Yeah, literally, like, I a lot of OCD and some insomnia and some ADHD, and I'm building a couple of hot rods right now. So when I'm done here, I'm going to drive back to Santa Barbara and see if we can get that station wagon started.
That's another, station wagon. Yes, we all have lowriders.
Yes, we do.
Yes,
Yeah, we
so
do. Like, we actually have.
Yeah, we drive lowriders. You know, some of us 1, 2, some of us have a little bit more. But yeah, on 520s, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. I wouldn't go to a 13155. That's just me. It's got to be 520s. And yes, I did have and still have some biased 520s, but I don't think I will ever put him on another vehicle. It'll have to be the radio tire. Enough about me. Eddie, you also have a lowrider.
He hasn't said much.
Yeah. Not very much. Yes.
Well, so just really quick. I know we're running out of time, but we modify our painters. Well, we put hydrants, and then another part of the piece is and then obviously those that you put, you can go obviously any kind of spokes or anything like that. But one thing, obviously a question a lot. It's like, what's the difference with another manufacturer radio tire, regular radio tire? But this is also some modify. Obviously, we put hydraulics, change our paint, interior, the chrome is engraving. But to me, this is another piece we built. The sleekness of the tire, just when you put arms, just a lot better versus like whatever another tire, like I don't know names, but like a Travel or Remington. You got like the big bulginess on the side. I mean, it doesn't ride any better than this one. This is the best of both worlds. You got 520 and you have the radio built, which is the best. You got that. It does make a difference because I've had guys actually from Santa Barbara. There's a car club that didn't get their car to took in. They put disc brakes and then that so much. This you get that narrow, and your cars. Just a beautiful tire. And Jason, I want to thank you guys for not giving advocated as much as I can. That's how we met.
Yeah.
And it's here. It's here, man. And Albert, we became really good friends. Thank you, everybody. You guys know my Instagram, Mr. You can reach me there. And then, I mean, I have the same information. We work together. If you can't get me, I'll be
Absolutely. Yeah. This guy.
Yeah, and top dog over there as well. Thank you, everyone. I'm pretty sure we're gonna again, so stay tuned.
Yeah, sure, man. And Radio Revolution is here, dude.
Yeah.
Thank
I feel like a blooper section, right?
you. Don't think-
There should be. That's what we do.
We're off rails. Man, I've been holding that.
It's still live.
Oh my God.